In the last 5 months, my wife's gone a bit DIY crazy and done 5 amazing home renovation projects. And to me, these projects epitomize the very reason that I started her this channel just under a year ago. Ever since we got married 13 years ago, she has amazed me with project after incredible project. So in this video, just sit back and let Andrea blow your mind a little bit with her projects and see what she's been up to in the last few months. Before we get started on today's project, we want to say thank you to today's video sponsor, Stash. Stash is a personal finance app that helps making investing easy and affordable for over 6 million Americans. Basically, the Stash app simplifies investing and makes it easy and affordable to achieve your financial goals and build wealth. And the cool part is, you can actually get started for as little as $1 a month. So if you're someone who's been looking for a way to get into investing, but you have no idea where to get started, then you should check out Stash. The simplicity of the app can make it easy to get started on your investing journey. You can choose from over 3,000 stocks and ETFs and get some advice along the way, or set up a smart portfolio and Stash will invest for you. And like I said earlier, Stash costs as little as $1 a month and offers 3 simple plans so you can choose the plan that's right for you. And even cooler, Stash is offering viewers of our channel an exclusive offer. If you download Stash using our link in the description or through our pinned comment and you add $1 cash to your portfolio account, you'll get an additional bonus $50 to start investing. It's that simple, so go on over and sign up today using our link. If you want to take advantage of this exclusive offer and receive a $50 bonus, click our link to sign up for Stash today. And now, back to the rest of our video.
This upstairs bathroom is shared by our older 2 kids and is one of the last spaces in our house to renovate. This bathroom is actually a great size, but it had this really awkward little corner vanity that really had no usable storage. So we started out by pulling out that vanity along with the matching fur down and light fixture. So we've got this fur down and the mirror is off so that the electrician can come and put in, just move the wiring for the sconces on this wall. We have a plug to move, and we're actually going to be taking this vanity out and building a custom vanity to go on this wall, and this space is going to look totally different. I can't wait to get it finished. Even though I've done quite a bit of basic electrical work in the past, we decided to hire it out just to keep the project moving and save on time. Next, I unhooked the plumbing and started working on taking this old vanity out. Alright, we got that weird little corner vanity out, and it was a beast to take out. It was solid wood with a bunch of big construction nails, and we also found a wire. You shouldn't do that. Don't run wires underneath your vanity, so we're gonna have to call the electrician back out. They just left. We didn't know to check for a wire under the vanity, but it's looking good, or it's looking bad before it looks good. Alright.
Next, Andrea took some measurements and put those math skills to good work to figure out how much shiplap we needed. How much can a minivan hold?
Oh, too much. We didn't have to drive very far.
And then, of course, we spent the better part of the next half hour unloading all of the supplies.
Next, we started working on removing the tub and shower surround, and really, there's just no easy way around this. It was messy and a whole lot of work, and I definitely needed Dean's help to get it done.
That worked.
Just have okay. Yeah!
It's actually super duper heavy.
Oh gosh! I thought you were kidding.
The strength of 10 men. 10 really small men.
I thought we were done with demo. We weren't really even halfway done with demo. We're almost done. We've got to get the rest of the sheetrock out, the bathtub out, but we're taking a dinner break first.
Alright guys, where are we going to eat dinner?
Chipotle!
Chipotle, baby!
Chipotle!
We got an echo.
Chipotle. The next day, we were ready to finish up demo, and after about 100 trips up and down the stairs, we found a really creative solution for getting these materials out of the house.
When we bought our house, about 75% of it was covered in these fake brick floors, and I am just a little bit excited about finally getting rid of the rest of it. This old tub was already chipped and stained, and we were not planning on reusing it, and since it was so heavy, we decided to break it apart to more easily get it out.
We're not even sure it was possible for us to carry it down the stairs together, but it did make for one of the most exciting moments of our entire renovation.
With the old tub out, we were ready to bring in the new one.
Next, it was time to get this old toilet out. It was super heavy, it barely worked, and so I sent it off in a blaze of glory. And yes, I did create myself quite the mess to clean up, but admit it, you loved watching that toilet get smashed into 1,000 pieces, didn't you?
With demo finally done, we could get started on the part that I like the most, and that is putting everything back together again. I decided to add vertical shiplap in here, and we have this in a few other places of the house, and I really just felt like it would tie it all together.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are officially out of shiplap, so I'm going to make a shiplap run. I need 18, count them, 18 pieces of shiplap. So you see, the only problem with going to get shiplap right now is that when you're in project mode, there's lots of people at the house working right now. We have the plumber, we have the tile guy, plus our cars. It's kind of like a maze trying to get out of this driveway. Alright, so let's go find this shiplap, ladies and gentlemen. I thought I'd give you a tour of the light section here in Lowe's. Okay, I'm not even gonna lie, this aisle smells like BO. I have no idea why. Just when I walked on this aisle, huge whiff of BO. I'm gonna keep moving. Alright, so I'm definitely in the ballpark here. Looks like I have found it right here. But, hey, I didn't bring a cart. Did you bring a cart? I didn't bring a cart because Dean doesn't think about these kind of things. So I'm gonna turn back around, go get myself a cart, and we'll come back. That's 18, boys. 18! With the shiplap almost done, you could really see this bathroom starting to come together.
The next day, we finished up the shiplap, caulked all of the edges, and then since we had already put down the hardy board for the new tile, we covered that up to get ready for paint.
Oh, you probably can't see me there, it's just Dean here. So I'm going to pick up dinner. It is 9:06. We got the kids dinner earlier, but we just kind of went on. That's how projects go sometimes. And so we're gonna get some good stuff here. But yeah, working hard, burning that late night oil. Stanley right here. How cool do you look right now? Boom! Look at that. Well, look at that.
Stop.
Amazing.
Our tile guy was scheduled to come the next day, and so I was super motivated to try and get all of the painting done before then.
You done?
I'm done with the ceiling in here. And the grinding.
Looks lovely. It's only 11:45.
Don't tell me what time it is. I don't want to know. It is 1 a.m. I just finished priming and painting. Trying to beat the tile guy so we don't have to tape off all that tile, and in the dark light the color does not look right. So I'm hoping we'll wake up and the color will be beautiful because it might be a repainting. Alright, we're bed.
So after a few hours of sleep, we woke up to a beautiful day the next day, and after a lot of coffee, Andrea got started on her next project.
I had a really hard time finding a vanity that was the right size for this space, and so I decided to build one myself. And while our tile guy was here working on tile, that was the perfect time to do it. I was so pleased with how this vanity turned out, but unfortunately we had less exciting news about the paint color I chose. So I'm getting ready to paint this bathroom for the third time, and by third time I mean 2 coats of one color, 2 coats of the second color. This will be coat 5 and 6. Because this color has just been giving me a hard time. I'm gonna just go back to a white shiplap in here. I think it'll look good. Just having a hard time like competing and not complimenting the tile. So hopefully third time's a charm and this white looks great.
And then the time had finally come for us to install the toilet.
We're so close to being finished. Finally, and of course in true construction fashion, it's taken 3-4 times as long as we anticipated. Tile should be finished today. I've got to install baseboards, and I've got the vanity finished to bring in here. We finally, after 3 paint colors, went back to my tried and true white, and it looks great. Electrical's in. Yeah, we'll finish caulking around the shower, get this all cleaned up. So close. With the vanity in place, I could start working on installing the new baseboards. We didn't get this part on video, but I actually sprayed all of the baseboards before I installed them. That way, after I caulked and filled all the nail holes, I could just quickly come back and touch up those areas with paint. After finishing up the baseboards, it was finally time to start installing all of the finishing touches. For bathroom counters, I always try and find a remnant piece to save on costs. For this one, I found this beautiful beige colored quartz that looks so much like a natural stone but will be much more durable for a kid's bathroom. The bathroom was already looking so good, but it always amazes me what these finishing touches like artwork, plants, towels really do, just taking it to the next level.
This is our master bedroom, but it didn't always look like this. It's actually a garage conversion, which took quite a bit of work to get it looking like it does today.
Okay, now obviously our bedroom does not look bad like it is, and we were both really happy with it, but I had been brainstorming for months on how to just bring in more coziness and give this space a more finished feeling. I knew I wanted to do some sort of feature wall to add interest in this space, and I've done painted board and batten walls in the past and I love them, but I just really wasn't feeling that look for this space. Since we already had this green bed that I love and knew we would be keeping, I started playing around with the idea of doing a stained wood slat wall. So like with all of my design projects, I started out by making a mood board in Canva. And once I had all of the design details worked out, I was so excited to get started.
But before we could get started on this epic bedroom makeover, we had a trip to make first. Hey, wait for me. Let's go! Let's go! Where are we going? You know where we're going. It starts with an L, ends with an S.
We started out the day by making a trip to Lowe's to get supplies for the feature wall, which included 102 boards and a few options for stain. I went with select pine 1x2s, which simply means they didn't have the knots because I was trying to get a more modern look.
So the only problem with needing 102 of the exact same board is that one store may not carry all of those boards, so we're actually going to go to the other Lowe's on the other side of town and see if we can get a few more because we only got 64 here, so we need, do the math, the 102 total minus 64 is something, so we need that something.
We started out by clearing out most of the room and moving the bed out of the way. Once we had that done, I grabbed a few tools so we could get started removing the baseboard.
After removing the baseboard, Andrea realized that she needed to make another quick trip to Lowe's, and so she gave me 3 tasks to finish before she got back. Task number 1 was to vacuum up the embarrassing amount of dust that had gathered under our bed. Next, I brought in all of the wood for the feature wall and brought in the air compressor for the nail gun and had some fun while doing it. Cookie break! Hey, I finished all 3 tasks you asked of me before you got back. Thanks.
Good job, babe.
Thanks.
After I got back from Lowe's, it was finally time to get started on the feature wall. First, I used a multi-tool to cut part of this baseboard off so I could fit that first board flush against the wall. I made sure to pick one of the straighter boards for this first one and also used a level because in this old house none of our walls are actually level. I tried several options to get the spacing between boards just right, but most of them were looking too far apart. So in the end I ended up using this coin that I found under the bed and it was the perfect amount of space. Since I was nailing these boards straight into the sheetrock, I made sure to nail them in at various angles because it helps hold it a little more securely. After getting the first few boards in place, it really was a matter of just repeating this process over and over and over again.
Andrea had nearly finished off the wall, but there was one slight problem. After going to both of our local Lowe's stores, they didn't have 102 boards even combined, and so we actually had to buy some 8-foot boards and cut them down to be 6-foot boards.
It would have been really nice if there were enough of the 6-foot boards in stock, but I am glad that they at least had the 8-foot options, even though it did add a bit of time having to cut all of those down. Next, I grabbed my stainable wood filler, put on a good podcast, and got to work filling over 500 nail holes. Next, I sanded off any excess wood filler and taped around the feature wall to get ready for stain. I started out by doing a paint wash with some really watered down beige paint that I had on hand. I did this because it helps keep the darker stain from soaking into the wood grain quite as strongly, giving it a more uniform look, and also makes it look less like pine and more like a nicer, more expensive wood. After that dried, I started applying the darker stain. But a little ways in, I took a step back and noticed a huge problem. So here's what went wrong. I did my paint wash and I didn't realize, because you couldn't see it until I started doing the darker stain, that my paint wash adhered more to my wood filler than it was to my actual wood. So once I started putting the darker stain on, there were these huge thumbprint size lighter spots on the wood that had accepted the paint wash more and now was showing through the darker stain.
It looks so good. Other than that, it stinks. It's about time you start crying.
So in the end, we decided to pull these boards down and just replace them. To fix the rest of the boards, I used my electric sander to sand off every last bit of excess wood filler. And then I touched up the paint wash on the areas that I had sanded down.
And as Andrea finished that up, I went ahead and went to Lowe's to get more boards, and of course they didn't have any 6-foot boards, so I had to get the 8-foot boards, and then Andrea cut them down.
And then for the new boards, I borrowed a pin nailer from a friend of mine so that I wouldn't have to fill any of those holes. And then finally, I reapplied the paint wash to these new boards, which basically meant we were back to square one. But rather than jump right into finishing the wall, we decided to take a breather and go grab lunch.
Alright, gotta admit, I'm a little stressed out.
This is just a little bit of real life. Every new kind of project like this, and it's like this even with furniture, when we're trying something new, there's usually like a lot of lessons you have to learn the hard way. Unless you watch our videos and you learn from all of our mistakes. So we'll have a list of all of our tips to avoid making all of the same mistakes we do.
Here's 97 mistakes to not make. So the way that we're going to remedy this situation is we're going to go to Chipotle, because that's going to solve a lot of the problems that we're up against right now. And sparkly water.
Boost. the morale
That's
of
right.
the team here. We need
a
to take a
morale
break,
boost.
stop staring at the wall,
Stop.
literally staring at the wall. Hopefully there's a happy ending to this story. After a good break, we were feeling more hopeful and ready to tackle the stain. The happy accident in all of this is that I ended up trying a new stain combination that I liked even more than the one I was originally planning on going with. I ended up mixing 2 water-based stain colors together, and a quick side note, I'm going to try and list every single thing that we use in the description, so I'll give those exact colors there. The other perk of using a water-based stain instead of an oil-based stain is the smell is nowhere near as strong, which means we were actually able to sleep in our room that night. In the end, the problem was completely solved, and I love the way it turned out. It looks so good. I'm so relieved. I was so scared we were going to start putting this on and we'd have a similar, it would just look bad again. Oh my gosh, this is like the best feeling when it looks just like you wanted it to look. So just ignore the big splotchy area right in the middle. That is where the bed will go. That's where I was testing some options when we first had our big problem, seeing the marks on the wall. And so I knew it would look like that, but there's literally not another spot in this room to put the bed, and so it's never going to be exposed. So I'm not worried about that. Just ignore that, but the rest of it looks so good. After the main part of the wall was finished, I cut down some of those same 1x2 boards to finish off the top edge of the wall. After finishing up the wall, we hit pause on the project for the weekend while we went to visit family. And since we would be driving right through Waco on our way there, we decided to stop at Magnolia Market for a few specific decor items I had been looking at. Once we got back in town, we got back to work. And since we had finished all of the larger projects in the room, I could focus on the finishing design touches. The first one being the artwork that I planned to put above the dresser. I framed this art several years ago, but decided to reframe it and use wood that would match the feature wall. Next, we put new, taller legs on the bed. The main reason I did this was that our new nightstands were several inches taller than the old ones and just looked a little bit funny next to our bed. The extra perk is that our vacuum can now reach under the bed. Our old rug was just a little bit too small for the size bed we have, and so this makeover was the perfect time to go ahead and swap it out. While searching for a new rug, I found out that one of my favorite designers just did a collaboration with Laloy Rugs and released a new line of rugs right in the middle of this bedroom renovation. I love this rug because it looks like an authentic vintage rug, but at a fraction of the cost. Next, I installed our bedside lamps. And these are actually ones that I bought over 5 years ago, but they are still one of my favorite pieces of bedroom decor.
And by this point, it was getting late, but Andrea decided that she couldn't live without the dresser being in the room before we went to bed. The next day was a gorgeous day, and it was a big day for Andrea because it was the day to finish the room.
Staging a finished space has to be my favorite part of transformations like this. I kept the dresser wall simple with this oversized artwork, a vintage lamp I already had, and these beautiful faux florals that I picked up at Magnolia. I really wanted to incorporate lots of texture and warm, rich, earthy tones. Next, I worked on the bed, and since the rug and the wall had plenty of deep, rich colors, I stuck with lighter neutrals and lots of textures for the bedding. Next, I added these beautiful pillows from Hockner Home, and the texture and the subtle colors on these really added to that cozy feeling I was going for.
Because you don't know who you're going to be.
This little corner of our room was feeling a little bit plain, and so I brought in this faux olive tree, and when I saw this mirror at Target, I knew that it would fit this space perfectly. I absolutely love how this room turned out, and once everything was finished, I thought it would be so fun to have my friend Justine over to see the finished result. She is a great friend and fellow designer, and we are constantly texting each other and bouncing all of our ideas off of each other. And she had helped me through some of the rough spots of this project when I got stuck, but she hadn't yet seen the finished room.
It looks so good.
And now this pillow matches this rug, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Like, yes. I love this. This really got me.
The girls spent the next long while nerding out over all of the design details, but it was so exciting for me to see Andrea's vision that she's been thinking on for months actually come to pass and be a huge and beautiful success.
I started out by removing the old mantle to give myself a blank slate for planing.
I used some painter's tape to outline my idea on the wall. This just really helped me get a better visual on the size and the angles and make sure I liked the way everything was looking. Once I had the tape placed where I liked it, I was able to measure and do a quick sketch on a piece of paper so I could figure out how much wood I was going to need. Once I had all my measurements and materials list, we were ready to head to Lowe's and get this project started.
Hey, wait. Do you feel that?
Yeah, it's like 75 degrees and 90% humidity.
90% humidity.
Like a lukewarm sauna.
Oh, it's amazing.
Lovely.
Texas fall is
It's
just
supposed
gorgeous.
To cool off. We're having a cold front in a couple of days.
Should get down into the lower 70s, I would guess. Start your pro.
Backwards?
Yeah.
So we're just getting the wood for the frame. That's what we're going to be working on today. I did a rough sketch just to see about how much we need. Hopefully I'm not too off in my estimations.
Alright, so Andrea says that she left something inside, so I'm going to load it all myself. I don't know if I believe her, but we're going to get it done anyway. Okay, we are testing the limits of a minivan's ability, that's for sure. How much can your minivan hold? Look who decided to show back up. 3 at once. Hey, who needs a truck when you got a minivan? I mean, shoot. That's what minivans are made for. I mean, look at that. Construction vehicles. It's not only for carrying children. If they can handle children, they can handle all this.
It's true.
Once I made my initial cuts, the fireplace practically built itself. Okay, not really, but it didn't take too terribly long. Once I had some of the initial framing done, I started working on the arch. Before we started on any of the framing, we held up a piece of 1/2-inch plywood and traced the shape of the arch onto that so I could replicate the exact shape of the arch that was there.
Next, I cut the sides and the top down so it would fit within the framing that I'd already built, and then traced this shape onto a second piece of plywood so I could have two matching shapes. Once I finished cutting out the arches, I made pocket holes on both sides so that I could attach it to the framework. Next, I measured the depth of the fireplace so I could continue building the arch. After I assembled part of the arch, I got Dean's help to help hold it in place while I attached it. After we got the arch on, I took a step back and it was really exciting to see it finally start to take shape. Next, I grabbed one of my young apprentices to help drill the pocket holes so we could finish framing this arch.
Build a house for me.
Build a house for you? I already did.
What does it look like?
It's in the clear.
This is the house that she built for him.
I'm gonna have to teach you how to build. You can build a house. Yesterday, he was like, "It's hot." The sawdust gets warm, and I said, "That's because of friction." He said, "We should get rid of all the friction so it's not hot." After I finished constructing the arch, I moved on to the mantle. I decided to use 2x10 boards, and before I cut it, we brought it inside so I could get a visual and figure out how much of an overhang I wanted. It's been in my head so long, it's funny to see it. I stop and stare and like, whoa, it's what?
That's what I do with you. Stop and stare.
Oh. But before we attached the mantle pieces, I went ahead and used screws that are made for masonry and concrete to attach the entire thing to the brick wall. Then I was ready to cut and attach the mantle pieces. As the day wore on, it was finally time to start framing the top portion of the fireplace. The trickiest part of getting the top portion started was figuring out the correct angles for these sideboards. At this point, it was getting late, and so we decided to call it a day and get a fresh start in the morning.
The next day started bright and early with a Lowe's trip, and I was feeling pretty tired, so I just decided to use the force to make things easier.
Once Dean got the extra wood and I had finished my coffee, we were ready to finish framing out this fireplace. Since I knew we would be hanging a frame TV on here, I added a couple of extra vertical supports so I would be sure to hit at least one of the studs when we added the mounting bracket. I wanted the underside of the mantle to have a slight curve, and so I added these boards to help facilitate that. Next, I used a piece of 1/4-inch plywood to create a solid back on the arch for the fire rock to attach to later.
I just feel like the weight of the world is on my shoulders.
Once I finished the framing, it was so fun to take a step back and see this vision really coming to life, and it was already really changing the way this room feels.
Well, it's looking good. I just want to know, where do you come up with this stuff?
This is what my brain does. I've been building this for about 2.5 years in my head.
I would just like you all to take a seat with us right here and just look at this wall with us for a while, because this is what we've done many a times, what she's done many of times.
I really feel like it's already doing its job. Like, this whole space just feels more cohesive because it has now like a really solid anchor and focal point that just really grounds everything. So even though it's kind of a mess already, I'm like, okay, this is doing just what I wanted it to, and it looks awesome.
I want y'all to get the scale of this. Like, this is not a small thing. Like, I'm 6 feet tall. Well, you're crushing it so far, and I have a lot of confidence in you that you're going to be able to do this thing out, and it's going to look insanely good. Keep it going. Next phase. Go.
Before starting on the drywall, I had another little project I wanted to knock out. Our TV used to sit on top of our piano, but we have plans of moving it, and so I needed something prettier to take its place. My sister had this old dresser mirror that she let me have, and I love the unique shape of it, but just wanted to change up the color slightly. I used a gel stain over the existing finish so I could keep the wood look, but just darken it up a bit.
As Andrea finished up the mirror, it was my turn to go to Lowe's and get some fire rock to sheetrock out this fireplace. The only problem is that fire rock comes in 4x8 sheets, and that does not fit in our minivan. So I went through this magic portal to turn my minivan into a truck. This stuff is super heavy, but I tried to keep a good attitude about it. Once I had purchased the fire rock, I had to load it by myself into the back of the truck, and the only problem with that is that each sheet weighs about 7,432 pounds, but I hulked it, got it into the back of the truck, and you can bet that I slept good that night. The next day was bright and beautiful, and it was an exciting day because our man Ernest was coming in to start on drywall.
And you'll hear us say drywall or sheetrock occasionally, but what we really use for this is 5/8 fire rock. Our fireplace is a gas fireplace and it doesn't put out much heat, but we wanted to be extra safe and use the thicker fire rock for this. We decided to hire out this part because even though I have installed drywall before, I knew that Ernest would do this about 10 times faster than me and it would look better in the end. And we've worked with Ernest before and he does amazing work and we just really like him. As you can see here, we ended up having to remove those wood blocks that I put underneath the mantle because that idea just wasn't going to work. We ended up landing on a different technique to get that subtle curve that I wanted.
That night after Ernest finished with the drywalling, we spent a romantic evening together looking at different TV sizes on the couch.
Okay, I was really excited though because I have been dreaming of getting a frame TV for years now because when you're not using it, it looks a lot like artwork and I just love the idea of not having a giant black box being the focal point of our living room. Once the TV arrived, it was simply a matter of opening it up and following the instructions to install the mounting hardware. At this point, I went ahead and cut the hole in the side for the access door and then the hole in the front to feed the TV wire through. The access door allows us to get to the gas to turn the fireplace on and also makes a really convenient spot to hide the One Connect box for the TV. Next, it was time to prime, and I just grabbed a PVA primer from Lowe's and had them tint it to the same color as the top coat I'd be using. And this part was so exciting because we were finally getting to see what this whole thing was going to look like finished. It feels like we're in like some new build of a house, you know, right? Like, and I am kind of like, holy cow, I built that, wow.
Yeah.
I'm feeling pretty impressed with myself right now.
It's looking so good. I'm like, you're the real deal. You're the real deal, babe. All right, I found you these pro shovels.
That'll do.
After that, Andrea decided that she wanted to clean out the fireplace, put some new rocks in it, paint the whole thing, and just give it a whole new fresh look.
For one of the final finishing touches, I applied Roman clay to get the look of an aged plaster. Now, this is a really subtle detail and it's probably even harder to see on this screen, but this really just adds a bit of softness and depth and texture to what would have otherwise been a pretty plain drywall surface. After finishing off the Roman clay, I had a little idea to make the TV look even more like artwork. I decided to build a custom wooden frame to go around the TV. To build my custom frame, I started out by measuring the TV and then building this box out of 1x2 pine boards that would fit around the TV with about 1/8 of an inch extra on each side. Then I cut some smaller trim pieces and attached those inside this box that I just built. This part will cover up the existing black frame on the TV. After I had it all assembled, we brought it inside just to make sure that it fit. I used some paint that I already had on hand to give this a coat of black paint, do some light distressing, and then cover those areas in stain. I also realized I still needed to cut out a small area on the bottom of the frame where the sensor sticks out under the TV. And yes, we did double check to make sure the remote still worked with this being covered up. Next, we brought the frame inside, set it on the TV, and I realized the color was just not quite right. I sprayed the entire frame with some gold spray paint and then brushed over that with some watered down black paint for a really nice antique look. In the end, I love the color and I really love how this actually makes it look like a piece of framed artwork on the fireplace. And then the last thing I had to do to finish off this fireplace was to install quarter rounds around the bottom. Once I finished installing the quarter rounds, it was time to get the living room cleaned up, and we were finally able to take a step back and really take in the finished result. And I cannot believe how beautiful this fireplace turned out. This bathroom is shared by our 2 younger boys, and it is the only room left in our house that hasn't been updated at all yet.
This bathroom currently features the classic shell sinks and brick vinyl flooring, but don't worry, Andrea has plans to transform this old bathroom into something modern and beautiful.
Getting ready, first demoing of the bathroom. Dean wants me to say it's demo day.
Demo day!
We're just gonna kind of gently, like pull it down. You're like,
Oh my
As beautiful as these fluorescent lights were, I'm going to pull them down. We're going to do something a little bit prettier. Wallpaper. So far, we've got the fur down. We have an electrician coming soon. We decided to hire that out. We have a lot on our plate, so we'll be adding 2 vanity lights here, just normal lights, no fluorescent lights. Next, we'll start pulling through some of these things on the wall down that we don't want to keep. Remove the countertops, the old tub, the old floor, the old toilet. We're keeping the base of the vanity, which is new countertops. As much as I love these shell sinks. Right here. Who does that for drywall? Sorry, I had it up on a ledge. Oh my gosh.
Well, that went well.
After we had the vanity wall completely cleared, our electrician was able to come and run wires for the new light fixtures. Next, we removed the trim from the shower faucets so we could work on removing the tub surround.
What happened now? One, two, three. Back for attempt number 2 here. And we're back for attempt number 3 here. No. Alright, we're back for attempt number 4 here. You see here, I'm using this knife to just score it along the edge there. Loosen it up just a wee bit. Like a pro. Come on! It's really kind of demoralizing, you know? It's just a little faucet, but I can't even pull it out of the wall. You know, I'm just going to chalk it up to that this probably hasn't been moved in about 30 years, and so it's a little tight.
Just a little challenge. Shrink. Just kidding.
I didn't have the right tools, okay? I just didn't have the right tools.
Once we finally had that old trim off of the faucets, we could work on removing this tub surround, and we tried for a long time to pull these out in one piece and not break them so they could be salvaged, but between the amount of glue that was used and then the screws holding the drywall to the studs, it was pretty much impossible.
What is happening? I thought the part was for someone to go over your nose.
Okay, is that one good?
That's great. Dude, I'm a DIY Dean, man. Tell you what.
DIY Dean, baby.
DIY dude, man. Hello there. Do you struggle with anger, frustration, even rage? Well, come on down to Dean's DIY Anger Therapy, where I'll give you a hammer, a mask. So for all of your anger management needs, come on down to Demo Dean's. Just like that. You'll feel all better, I promise.
Now, I know some of you may be feeling bummed that we just smashed this big jetted tub, but it didn't work. The lines were filled with mold, and I don't honestly think it was humanly possible for us to get this thing out of the house in one piece.
Once the tub was all broken apart, it was time to get it out of the house, and after carrying 2 or 3 pieces down the stairs, we decided to work a lot smarter and have a lot more fun by throwing the pieces out the window. Which included a game of try and make it in the wheelbarrow. Make it in the bucket! No, not even close. Yeah, you're definitely gonna make that one.
I made it. That's a mess.
Next, it was time to remove the old countertop, and we forgot to get close-up shots of these, but they were chipped in several places and not something that was salvageable.
And Andrea took this job really seriously, so she wore her aviators to get it done. These shell sinks weighed a ton, and I definitely wasn't carrying those down the stairs, so we threw them out of the window. Perfect. Shell sink, it was nice knowing you, buddy. Well done, good and faithful shell sink, but your time has come, Bubba. And just for the record, everything we threw out of the window, I personally cleaned up. And admit it, you enjoyed seeing it get smashed into a million pieces.
Next, we removed the old drywall to make getting the new tub in easier.
And even after taking the drywall out, we still had trouble getting this tub to fit into place, but thankfully our plumber said just leave it and he would take care of it.
Next, it was time to start installing the shiplap. decided to use vertical shiplap in this space mainly because I really felt like it fit the overall design and vision I was going for, but also because we have vertical shiplap in several other places in the house, and this just makes the house feel more cohesive.
Alright, so Andrea's been putting in the hard work upstairs in the bathroom, and she really could use a coffee, so I'm gonna run to Starbucks and get her a coffee. Your coffee.
So venti.
So how many brownie points did I win? Come on.
The sun is now going down. We're not finished with shiplap. I had ambitious plans of finishing all of this and all of the painting. We're not going to get to painting. I'd be happy with finishing the shiplap tonight, which is also maybe unlikely.
How much energy do you have right now?
Not very much. My coffee has thoroughly worn off. I'm tired.
Before Andrea could finish the final section of shiplap, we had to take out this old toilet, which didn't really work right. It wasn't salvageable, and so we gave it the most glorious send-off that a toilet has ever been given.
While I finished installing the shiplap, our tile guy was able to come back and install the Schluter board and the tub surround, and then I filled and sanded all of those nail holes in the shiplap. Even though it's still a total mess in here, it's already looking so much better. Next, I started prepping the vanity for new paint, but I ran into a bit of an unexpected problem.
I wasn't planning on stripping these. I was just going to prime and paint over because I thought this was attached a lot better. But if I paint over this, then my new paint, even if I prime, it's just going to peel off with this old finish. You can see they've painted over an oil-based paint right there without the right kind of primer. That's going to be a lot of work. Oh my gosh. But I don't want my cabinets getting all chipped and just looking bad within a few months. So I better do it now. So I'm just going to use this stuff that I have on hand. It works pretty well, and hopefully this is just like a latex paint. I'm sure it should take it off pretty easily. Normally I would use those little chip brushes to throw away, but I have an old brush that is a little bit damaged, and I do not want to make another trip below, so I'm going to use this. Alright, it gets worse before it gets better. This is an absolute mess. Ah!
So how tired are you right now?
I'm not tired. What makes you think I'm tired?
What's next?
Coffee.
Dad, can I go? Can you tell a story about when you were kid?
Okay, well, one time in 8th grade, I was on the junior high soccer team, and I was actually on the team with Mommy's brother. And so I would actually see Mom at the games. We didn't even talk to each other. We didn't even really know who each other were.
You think we were better soccer players than you?
Probably, yeah.
Yes! I can't touch it, hold on.
After a little coffee pick-me-up, I was able to get the vanity finished and ready for paint, and then started caulking all of the shiplap edges and corners. The next day, I started taping off the bathroom to get ready to paint. But before I could get started painting, I had to get on my paint clothes.
Yeah, you look amazing. So how long have you had these paint clothes?
I don't actually know, maybe 10 years.
Maybe 10 years. But hey, I mean, we're getting our money's worth out of them, right?
I used my favorite shellac-based primer to prime the vanity, the trim, and the doors, and then gave everything a good 2 coats of paint. Between the painting and then the dry time between coats, it took quite a while, but by late that evening, I finally had it all finished.
I'm done painting this bathroom. I primed the ceilings last night. We finally got that vanity where we stripped all the paint off. It's painted, and then I sprayed the ceilings, sprayed all the walls, and I just got the final coat on the walls. And I need a shower. I'm a little bit dirty.
With the painting all finished, our tile guy was able to come the next morning and start installing the tile. I chose this beautiful dark green tile for the shower, and with its matte finish and beautiful handmade texture, it's easily my favorite part of this entire bathroom. We had the tile laid in a horizontal stack for a more modern look, and it gives a nice contrast to the vertical shiplap.
And I just want to say here that these design decisions are something that Andrea labors over again and again until she has everything just right. So it might look like it comes together pretty quickly on film, but this is months in the making for sure.
While the tile was being finished, I took all of the bathroom closet doors outside to paint them. Once the paint was dry, I started reinstalling the doors, and lucky for me, my sister was in town that day, so I had an extra set of hands for help. Once the doors were installed, I added knobs to those along with matching knobs for the vanity. Now, we weren't able to capture me painting the vanity because we couldn't bring a camera in here with all of the paint dust, but I painted it the same matte black color that I used on their built-in bunk beds, and I love the contrast that it provides against the white shiplap.
So we just got the toilet installed. We're so close to being finished. The tile's finished. He needs to come back and clean it up and caulk all of the edges, and then I'm getting baseboards in today, and then it's fun stuff. We have countertops coming hopefully later this week. After that, it's just all the finishing touches, like getting a shower curtain up, a rug, all the fun stuff. So close!
Once the countertop and sinks were installed, it was time for the final finishing touches. I went with matte black for all of the fixtures and hardware, and I love the way it looks in this bathroom. One thing I had to add to this bathroom was this elephant clothes hamper because our 4-year-old is absolutely obsessed with elephants. So after months of planning and 4 weeks of hard work, this bathroom was finally finished and it turned out beautiful.
When you have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old sharing a closet, things can get a little bit disorganized. But thankfully, Andrea has a plan in mind to take this closet from really chaotic to something really cool.
The first thing I want to do is address the storage situation in this closet. The first thing I plan to do is pull out all of these old shelves which aren't really making the most efficient use of this space. And then I'll build some custom shelves which make better use of this space and give us the storage we need. And then probably the most exciting part of this project is we are going to surprise our 7-year-old who is currently obsessed with polar bears with this fun wallpaper on the back wall.
But the big catch is that she had only 1 day to finish this project because we wanted to finish the entire thing before our kids got home from school.
Step 1 was to empty everything out of the closet, and there was a lot of stuff in there.
Jude, how did we have all of that in your closet?
We fit all of that.
It was very messy.
It was very messy, wasn't it?
While we had everything pulled out, it was the perfect time to sort through all their toys, throw away the trash, and donate the things they no longer wanted or needed. I want to go ahead and mention here that we store most of their clothes in their dresser in their room, and so this closet is primarily used for toy storage and hanging clothes storage. So with toy storage in mind, I made my first purchase and bought these adorable metal bins from Target. Once I had all of the stuff out of the closet, I could start doing some minor demo and remove these old shelves.
And in my mind, it's not a real project until Andrea gets a hammer out and starts smacking things.
in here and just a little bit of trash to get out. But I'm going to go ahead and sand the walls. There's some really weird clumps of texture. We're actually going to do wallpaper on that back wall, and so you want it to be, you don't want any big clumps of stuff on there.
Once I finished the demo and sanding, I had made quite a mess, and so before moving on, I got that cleaned up. Once everything was cleaned up, I was ready to start painting. I started by priming any of the areas that didn't already have paint. After the primer dried, I rolled on the same white paint that we've used in the rest of our home.
While the paint dried, we took a trip to Lowe's to pick up supplies for the shelving units, and Andrea was definitely in a hurry. Could you slow down? You're driving. I know. I'm trying to film your mission, and you keep running away from me.
Are you driving or am I driving?
I'm driving.
You're slowing me down, babe. You're slowing me down.
Hey.
I tried to ban him from coming with me because I said, I think I can finish this closet in a day. And he said, no way.
I said, no way, Jose.
And I hear no way, and I think, I'll show you. By the time we got home from Lowe's, the paint was dry and we were ready to hang the wallpaper until we noticed a slight problem.
Okay, so we've run into a bit of a problem. The gray on here is so cool toned it looks purple in this closet, and the white that I use in most of our houses, it's a warm white, and so that mixed with that light, I have a brighter white that we're going to use. We're going to try that. Jean's going to go grab a brighter light bulb. See, can I turn it on?
So after a new coat of paint and a brighter light bulb, our problem was solved and the wallpaper actually looked gray like it was supposed to.
It's not purple anymore. That's good.
So with the problem solved, I was finally ready to get started on wallpaper.
I've never actually done this before, but I know I've seen somebody do it before.
You're a pro. You got this.
I know you want to you line up your piece first. This was easy because it was the beginning of it and I knew that was straight. And then you pull a little bit of this off at a time. You want to go from the middle out to get your bubbles smoothed out.
I believe in you.
So far it looks good. We just finished the wallpaper, and I think a kid's closet is definitely a good place to start for my first time wallpapering. I'm realizing that a pattern this big is a little less forgiving than like maybe a really small pattern, so I'm happy with it, and it's for a kid's closet. It's great. I like it a lot.
I knew you could do it.
I'm gonna finish this before we pick them up from school. You'll stop slowing me down.
She's gotta go.
We gotta go!
Next, I started cutting the wood for the shelves. I used pre-finished melamine shelves from Lowe's with 1x2 boards for the supports.
And while we were outside, we started hearing some interesting noises coming from our garage, and then we discovered these little guys. I guess a mama cat thought this would be a good place to stash her kittens for a while, and they were only there for a couple days, and then they were gone.
So these bins that I have are going to go on the bottom, so I just want to make sure that my bottom shelf is high enough to be able to easily get these in and out, but not, so high that there's just a lot of wasted space.
After figuring out what height I wanted all of the shelves to be at, I attached the 1x2 support boards by screwing into the studs and used a level to make sure everything was straight. Next, I made a few extra cuts on the shelves where they extended past the trim and then carried everything upstairs to install them. After finishing all of the shelves, I hung this bulletin board in a cute hanger that I found at Target. And finally, I was ready to bring everything back in, and I knew that our boys were gonna love it.
After everything was finished, it was time for our big reveal. But we started by showing our daughter first.
2, 1. Look at that new closet, Riley!
Aw, it's so cute. Oh, okay.
Right, close your eyes.
Are you ready to see your new closet?
It's Buddy wallpaper.
Jude was thrilled to have wallpaper that matched his favorite stuffed animal. And the cool thing about a closet like this is that if you're as small as these guys, it becomes more than just a closet, it becomes this special play place.